Hi everyone, it's Laura from Grain & Co. and I'm here today with October's Creative Maker Box. So this month we are doing the Witch's Broom. So let's get started. So in your box, I've separated my pieces already. So we've got our three signs and the handle to the broom. You'll have 3 layers for your broom and pumpkin, front, middle, and back. You'll have some lettering for your signs and your part to your witch's hat there. And then I've got a hat, 2 bats, and the stand. So I've kind of broken it into its color piles right now. So I'm just gonna move that aside. One thing before I forget, in your part where your words are, there's a little tiny dot, so we're not doing anything with it except use it as a spacer. So don't lose that. We're not staining it or anything like that, but it needs to be used for when we are assembling the whole thing. Okay, so I'm just going to set these off to the side and I'm going to get started with my staining. So I'm just going to peel off this. You need the stem from the front, and you need the stem from the back. And usually I'll add a little stain to the bottom here into the notch. So that's what I will do. So we're going to be doing front and back on these pieces, front and back on this, and then just the fronts on these. So I'm just going to quickly stain this. I think everyone has done this a box before, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this really quickly. Just grab your stain and wipe it on, and then wipe it off. Okay, so that part is done. I'm just gonna pause for a second. Okay, so when I did mine, I kind of wanted it to look a little bit more aged and not just stained, so I didn't really do anything like fancy. I just took my black and I just grabbed a little bit, and I had a baby wipe close by. And let's see, what brush do I have? I just kind of wet my brush, grabbed a little black, and then I just kind of made marks wherever, maybe along the edge, and then I gave it a wipe. If I didn't like it too much, then I took my baby wipe and wiped it back. But you can see just a little bit that it just helps give it looks like it's some old wood. And obviously you can see I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just kind of doing whatever. Oops. And then I'm just wiping it back. So you can just, it's not a whole lot of water, but enough that it's going to make it almost like a stain. But I'm just kind of hitting those edges, and then when I wipe it and blend it, it'll just dirty up the wood a little bit. So you can see there's those, and then there's the lighter. So that just brings out a little bit of darkness to that. You don't need to do it on the other side. It's more just the one side. So like I said, nothing fancy, just kind of playing around. Okay, so since I have my black out, I'm just going to do those black pieces. So that would be the witch's hat. We're gonna do front and back. The bats, we're gonna do front and back. The base, we're going to do the top, and the bottom part, we're going to just pretty much do around the edge and maybe a little bit in the middle if we have any paint left. So and hold on, I gotta think about something. I just forgot what that looks like. Hold on, one more second. Okay, 2 things. Okay, so on here, we're gonna do a little bit of black under, just gonna pull that off here a second, underneath the eye area and the mouth hair, that's gonna be black. And then after, we'll have to come back in here and do some black on the broom, but we're just gonna come back to do that. So we'll need to leave just a little bit. It doesn't really take more than one brush stroke. So I'm just gonna put my black on here. And you can, some things you'll want to use a brush. You can use a brush, or you can just use your foam wedge the whole time. So I'm just gonna come in here and put some black. Now you don't have to be so careful, because whatever you do here, you're really not gonna see, you know, it won't peek through anywhere else except for on here. So just to be able to check, as you can see, not even close to where I thought that whole mouth was going. So definitely check to make sure you went far and wide enough. And that's only on the front side. So, and then just double check, lay that over top, make sure you got the eyebrow area, the whole thing. You should see that black reflection underneath there. So definitely double check that. Okay, so I'm gonna just start with my bats here. I'm really not blotting anything off because the surfaces we're doing are bigger, so I can just start in the middle and work my way out. But then again, you don't want a ton of paint on your foam wedge either. So, okay, so we're going to come back and do the second side in a second, but we'll come in here and do some of this. So just be careful not to get paint in here. So if you do, maybe grab a baby wipe or paper towel, Q-tip, something like that, to make sure that it's free of paint. And your grain's going side to side, so I'm trying to work in that movement so it doesn't look like it looks weird. Okay, and then this one. I know it will bug some if the whole thing isn't done, even though you really don't see it, but if you make your rows wide enough, you pretty much are going to come in there and do it all anyway. So, and I mean, you should be gluing that right over top anyways, but if you want to take that sponge and just empty it all out in the middle, then you can, but we'll come back and do a second coat there. This one is dry enough for me to do, so I'm just going to come in here. Oops, didn't get any paint on there. All right, I'm just going to empty my sponge on the back side. And leave those to dry for a second. This one is dry enough, and I'm not really, well, I might do a second one on that one. Whoops, where's my paint? Doesn't need much. There, now it's nice and solid. Okay, so that one is done. Don't need to do that one. This one, the front is dry, so I'm just gonna come in here just lightly sand. That one's done for that side. Okay, so we just have the other side to do after. All right, this side should be dry. See, this one side might be just a little bit wet, but it's not wet enough that it's dripping on my parchment paper. Okay, so all my blacks are done. Except when we come back after and we've done this one, then we'll do a little, we'll just take a little black from our container. So even though you might not have much left, or you might or might not, I can't remember, you just really need to dip the tip of a brush in there and grab that little bit that's left. Okay, okay, so let's do the orange part. So we're gonna grab these two pieces, and you can take your sponge or scissors. All right, so we're doing pumpkin spice. Just gonna start with my back one. Get my sponge going here. Okay, so those two are gonna just dry a second. Well, that one's going on. I can either cut that one, or I'm just gonna, for the video's sake, I'm just gonna grab another sponge so I can just keep going here. Okay, so we're gonna grab your butternut. Just paint the first coat, and then the second coat we're gonna have to use a brush so we can get the movement in the brush like I did in the picture. Okay, let those dry. Let's check on our pumpkins. All right, do it again. A little bit, not too bad, but I want the definition more. And I'm not worried so much about the ones in the back because, well, you're not really gonna see it as much. Actually, the original designer didn't even have the lines in the back. I kind of added those in so it just wasn't so plain. So otherwise it was just the pumpkin shape without the lines. Okay, so I think that's good there. Okay, so these two, just a little bit missing from the middle here. I'll check in a second. They might need a third, but they look like they'll be okay. All right, this one's still a little wet, and I want to sand it first before I start. So I'm just gonna stop for a minute on my end and come back. I don't want to cut my orange sponge yet until I know, and then I can move on to the white. And then the yellow one, you're looking for, you can look for your like 1/2" brush that you got in your kit. That something like that will be fine. And even if you had like, I don't know, I kind of dry brush some stain in after, so just a bunch of small brushes, nothing too complicated. It really isn't all that daunting as it can appear. So I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, bye guys. Okay, so my orange ones are looking pretty even, so I'm gonna leave those. So I need to sand these ones. So right now all you really can see is the lines in the wood, and we really want to see more about the movement in the brush. So you're gonna take your cathedral taupe. You really just need to pour just a smidgen of it. You don't want a whole lot. And even just a dab of white somewhere close. And you really just play. You'll take your brush, get some yellow on it. So mine is covered right now, and then I'm just gonna pull a little of the cathedral taupe, and that I kind of just quickly blended them on the brush, and then all I'm doing is going with the movement of the brush. So especially up here. Oops. So at some point, if it looks like you've got too much tan on, then just come in with a little bit and then hit the yellow. But just try and keep it moving in the direction you would see the broom hairs go. So if it's, and your front is definitely not necessarily going to look the same as the back. So just really just play with it. You can't really do anything wrong. So you came in with some more yellow. And I'm just gonna maybe hit a little of the tan, and I'm just gonna carefully pull those in that way, and then while they're still wet, just kind of blend them and pull. And then come up here and just make sure you get those ones up there too. There, that was my front one. So whether or not you wanted to play with your back one is what I was meant to tell you. Is if you want to play with your back one first, that way you feel like you're not getting the hang of it, you can play and sort it out there. But just see, you can see the curve of the broom is what you want to pretend you're working with, and so you can see the difference here. Just going to add a little bit more here. We're not quite done with this yet, so I'm just going to leave it there and try it again. So I'm not necessarily painting back and forth. I'm trying to pull in the direction of those hairs. So this one I had a little bit more white on there that time. That's fine. I will deal with it. Grab a little bit more yellow right now. Come in here. Come up here so I can feather those out. Next time I'll come in and grab a little bit more tan. Our cathedral taupe, bring in the white. Whoops, that one was really heavy. That's okay. I'm not gonna worry about it. Grab my yellow. Bring it down here. Good to come up here, kind of like crisscrossy, but oops, I got it all over my fingers. So as you're doing that one, I'm just gonna grab my baby wipe. Not that you're gonna see both sides at once, at one time, but if you want to kind of keep them similar, then you can have them side by side. See, this one's a little bit whiter because I got a little carried away with that white, so I might come in here and add a few more white, or you could go the opposite, add a little bit more yellow on the other one, depending on what you like. Okay. So I'm pretty good with that, but I still want it to look a little on the dirty side. So this is where, oops, I put my stain away, 2 seconds. So I would just grab like, really like a drop, whoops. And where's my brush? Just gonna grab my brush. I'm not even having much on it, and I'm just gonna carefully come in here and pull some strokes. So you can see I dip and then I kind of just blot it off. So now if that freaks you out a little bit, your baby wipe can come in here and kind of blend those darker lines that you just put in. So if you feel like you got a little heavy with your color, see here, I'll kind of intentionally do that on this one, even though this is my front one. I didn't necessarily want it that dark, but so take my baby wipe and then I can come in here and just blend it, but work your blends in the same direction as if you were painting, so those lines stay that way. See, I like the little extra, so now I'm going to come in here a little bit more in this one because I like that, and then I can just kind of blend them out. You're not pressing that hard when you're blending them, you're just kind of using the dampness, see, because you can see, whoops, that I don't even, I've wiped all that, but I don't have a whole lot on my baby wipes. So oops, let me come in here and get a little of them. Okay, so and then this one will come up beside it. So yeah, no, I'm fine, and then after I'm going to sand it, but that's what you'll do to kind of do the broom. And if you don't want to and you just want to leave it yellow, that's totally fine as well. So that's how I did it. Okay, and so I'm just gonna let that dry for a second because, or a little bit, sometime before we're done, I'm gonna come in here and we're gonna paint that black little part at the top of each side. So that's what we'll leave there. Okay, so the next part we're gonna do is the white. This part in here after is green, and we'll have to come back and hand paint that. So I don't really have much room on my tray for white now, so I'm just going to put it on my paper towel. Just got rid of a little bit of stuff there and grab my white. So on this spider web, always in the machine, it always gets dark. It just, that's how it is. It's the char, it's the black, the flashback of just the laser. So I mean, I'm sanding it a little bit, but it's not going to come off too much, and no one's really going to see it, so you may have to do an extra coat of the back, but it's a spider web, so you know, if it looks a little grungy, it is Halloween, so that's coat number 1 on the back, and then we're going to do all of these guys. So remember, light layers. You don't want those pieces to get stuck in there. You should still be able to see down the side of each letter, because then you know you're just touching the surface and not pressing too hard and squishing it in. So I'll probably, if you know me, I will do this 3 times, and I will either come back and you'll watch me really fast do the 3 times, or I'll just come back when I'm totally done. It's hard to say. This one we're going to need a brush for. So there's really no easy way to figure out which one to do first. I'm just going to sand a little bit, only because it's just a little bit of char in the front. So come in here. I mean, if you want to do it all green, you can do that too. If this is, just don't have patience to sit here and paint this, but okay, that's enough for a first coat, just to get those fibers knocked down here. Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do there. Oops, we can do the other side of this at the moment. So same with the spider web. You're just gonna keep going back and forth, both sides, till you cover it like you want. Oh, you know what I just did? I did my spider in the wrong color. Like, I didn't think that was right. All right, so pull your spider out of there and do them black. Don't do them white like me. There we go. So, not a big deal. Just pull out your black. Actually, if you catch it, then great, it's done. Me, I probably will just leave it until I bring the black out to do this part. So I'll just leave it off to the side there. And you know what? This is already dry, so just gonna give it a sand. Now remember, depending how long you've let these sit in here, just go and give them a gentle wiggle. Make sure they're not going to get stuck, and then you can go ahead and do another coat. So right now it's hard to say, but I might be only doing 2. It's looking pretty good right now. And then I'm just gonna go back and do other coats on these. No, I think I might just do another light coat. And it's already dry, so it's the odd light piece in here. So I'm just gonna quickly go over it. And then as soon as it's dry for me, because I'm not gonna come back and assemble this today, I want my blacks to really dry so they stay nice and rich. I'll pull this, I'll take the tape off and let those pieces sit out of their template. So that one's there. Okay, I'm not gonna sand this one, but I'm gonna come back in here and just do another one. I mean, with all the char on the back too, sometimes it just comes through the paint, but like I said, it's the back, so I'm not worried. So that's number 2 or number 3. This one, I don't even know if I have any paint left on there. I don't. Let's use what I've got in my brush now. Oh, actually I've got a little bit over here. Okay, so I did 3 coats there. I'm gonna let that dry for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna come back in and do the green in there. And then I'll do 1 more coat on the front, so that part will be done. So I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, well my white is still drying. I'm gonna quickly come in here and we're gonna do our black in there. Okay, so depending on, you know, which brush you want, I'm not sure I want that one. I'd rather have it a little bit more angled, but I can't seem to find mine. So I'm just gonna give these a quick sand up at the top. I'll come and sand the rest later. Move that down. Oh, why not? Let's just do the whole thing. Okay, take a small brush and then just come in here. And those 2 lines are, just fill it in. Don't like this brush because it doesn't have a clean edge. I'm just gonna grab a pointy one. I think I only did 1 coat on that because I still wanted it to, I didn't want to be solid black, because you think of it, it's like string wrapped around there. So you should still be able to see a little bit of a variation so it looks not like just a black band. So those ones are done. And I'm just going to go wash my brush and then we're going to do the green, okay? Oh, we're gonna do spider too, hold on. Except I still don't need the brushes for that, so I'll be right back. Okay, with your spider, just make sure you give it a sand. It's kind of small, so either just put it on some tape. It doesn't bounce everywhere. I'm not sure, I think you guys can see it over here. There. And because I did a white base, this is probably going to take me 3 coats to get it covered up. So I'll just leave it there and keep doing it. And I'm just going to come in here. This one you'll want to do twice, so I won't come back and do it again on here, but just do it twice or 3 times, whatever it takes for you to get the coverage you want. And then be able to put it together. Yeah, because I can still. One is definitely not enough. Okay, so that one's coat 1. Let's do the spider again because he's definitely dry and not sure how much is in there. All right, and I'm just gonna keep doing my spider because I forgot. So yeah, so everything is painted. Don't forget to take your pieces out of here. You might want to sand them gently first. That way you don't have to do it later, and then you can just take your tape and then they can just sit off to the side. Just make sure all those inner parts come out too. And then you know everything will be good to go. Nothing will be stuck in there. And then you can clean up. All right, so that's it. Remember, spider black, do your green in the inside there, and when I come back, then we will put it all together. So off camera, just so I don't have to shake the camera, remember you can sand all of your pieces front and back, and have all that ready, and then we will get to putting it together. All right guys, see you in a bit. Bye now. Okay guys, I'm back to do the assembly of our project here. So all of my pieces, oh here, let me get this centered first. There we go. All of my pieces have been sanded, and so they're all ready to go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the base of this. So this is the middle support piece, which is the same thickness as our broom handle, and we need to get that attached to there. So we'll start with the front of our broom pumpkin thing here. So grab your pieces for that. So these ones will have the adhesive. So these ones we're just gonna peel and stick in place. So we're gonna bring this up here. So I'm just gonna set it in place. I'm not gonna squish it down yet. I'm just going to let it hover over top till I get these all done. Mine has lots of little strips of adhesive because I usually have a board that takes all of the end pieces and I use it up. So this one has it. I don't think anybody out this time has some, but there might be a couple of you that have to go through what I'm going through. So if it wants to lift, just roll that cover back and give it a rub. If it all else fails and pulls right off, well, then you can just add some glue there, but sometimes you just get caught on those edges. So we're gonna stick that one on here, making sure it's all lined up nice on the sides and at the bottom here. So everything's looking pretty good. Feels like it's even. This is fitting in there nicely, and I'm just gonna add the stem and set that in there. Make sure it all lines up first before I give it a good press. Okay, everything's looking good, so we're gonna give that a press down. Now, before we glue on the other side, we need to glue on this. So make sure you put this on the right way. So you make sure the charred back and the charred back of the broom handle are the same. Then that way you know you've got it the right way. So there's a slight difference in the height now because we've got that front piece on. So in order to make this lay flat when it's drying, I would suggest grab one of the thinner pieces. This one works. I'm just gonna flip it over and I'm gonna set that in there. That way this is laying flat and steady, and it'll dry better that way too because it's not wanting to lift. And we're just gonna add some glue into here. Yeah, there's adhesive on there, that's fine. And I'm gonna give that a press. And I have a feeling I squished a lot of glue out on the top. So hold on a second. As I did that, I realized that was way too much. So I'm just gonna wipe that off and all of my excess here. Yeah, I could have grabbed my white stuff. I kind of grabbed that one. So had I grabbed my white glue, it wouldn't have mattered so much. But okay, so I'm gonna let that lay. Oops, this isn't. So just make sure it's flat. This is even. So like right now I have a lip in the table here, so I want to make sure that for the video guys, I'm just gonna have to shift it over here because otherwise it's not very level. Okay, so right there. I'm gonna leave that, and I'm gonna wait till that one's dry, and then we're gonna come in and do some glue over that. So I'm gonna give this a minute, but I think I gotta put some other glue on there because pretty much squished it all out. There we go. Let's try this again. All right, there. I'm gonna give that probably a good 5 minutes, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, bye. Actually, now that you can't see much of that, I'm gonna slide this over here, and we're gonna move on to something else, so I can get some other work done. So that'll stay there, and we're gonna grab these. So while we're doing that, we'll put on the letters or words to all of these. So the score marks will help you line up these pieces. They're indented just a little bit, so we'll peel the back, and then you'll place it over top. Don't squish it into place yet. Make sure you can not see any of the score lines, so make sure you have some good light, because sometimes it takes you to look at all different angles. So I'm just going to lay it over top here, because otherwise my face would be right in on it. So right now I can't see anything there, nothing there, nothing there. Oh, I can see a little bit of that word. Let's try this again. Okay. It's just sitting on top, so I'm just carefully checking. Okay. And then give it a press. So you're gonna do that for all of them. I'm just gonna let the video run, and I'm gonna speed it up really fast so you don't have to sit here for 10 minutes watching me peel the sticky backs off of a whole bunch of letters. All right, so I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Okay, those ones are done, so we're just gonna set that off to the side. And we'll come in here and do our hat. And those two have score marks, but they should also line up on the side too, so you should know exactly where it fits best. Those score marks are kind of hard to see, so don't worry about that. Just get it to feel like it's in place. So I think I had to change the letters, and I didn't notice this about the hat, but she didn't inset her lines quite as much, so it's gonna sit right at the line, so I can see the line is just at the edge of my pieces. So it is what it is. It's nothing too bad with the hat. So okay, so those ones are done. So this should be dry enough for me to bring over here and still lay flat. So I'm gonna get my glue, not that one, this one. So this is just the opposite of what we did in the front. I guess I do want this one a little bit, at least in the middle, so I don't have to waste all my good glue. So you have to work a little faster with this one because, well, it's glue, right? So it's gonna, depending on what type of glue you're using, it can dry fairly quickly, but so get it lined up as best you can. I'm just gonna do this. Oh yes, and I just want to really make sure that there's enough over here, so I'm just gonna slather it all on there. Make sure that's all lined up, get it pressed. Okay, and then my stem, which is hiding on me. There we go. Go in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that sit. Put my glue away here and give that a few minutes to set. And there was one thing I was gonna check before I did that, so it's my own fault. But before you put your piece, before your broom, we start gluing all this, take that inside thick piece that's the same thickness as your broom handle, and make sure it fits in your slot. Sometimes wood today is a little frustrating, but anyways, take it and make sure it fits. If not, take your sandpaper and give it a sand. It won't take much, like really a few passes is all it needs if it doesn't fit, but it's definitely easier to do it before than it is once you get all this stuff into place. So try that first, because I forgot, and then yeah, then it'll be easier to stand. But anyways, I'm gonna let this dry for just a few moments, and then I'll come back. We will glue all on our other pieces, and then we'll be done. All right, make sure you have your little dot, your little circle, because we're gonna need that for putting the hat on, so that way you have that little spacer. So I'll see you soon. Okay, I think it's good. Just coming back to check it. Should be fine. Okay, so before I go any further, I'm just gonna check mine. Of course, it will be just a little snug. So if you do what I did and forgot to check, you're just going to want to take your sandpaper and run it on both sides. Sometimes just when you're staining and stuff like that, or painting, it'll swell the wood, and it's just enough to make that fit a little tight. So I know I can probably get it once I push on it. So yeah, that'll be my doing here. Hold on, I'm gonna go press it on a really stable surface. Okay, I did it. I got it in there. I was doing it on the countertop, and it was just enough to be able to push really hard. This table isn't that stable. And then if I needed to, I just gave it a really quick slap on the counter, and it's fine. So actually, I want to go give it one more little tap, and then I'm going to glue the bottom on this way. Normally, we would glue this together and then put it together. So if you know yours fits, then do it the other way. So I'll be right back. Okay, that worked better. So now we're going to do this the harder way, but that's okay. So I'm going to come in here and wipe my hands first. So I've got glue all over them. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for you, if you can catch yourself, put some glue on here first and line it up on there and let it dry that way instead of doing what I'm doing. Oops, I kind of out of camera there. Okay. Just because it's a little harder to see to line up, but I'm just gonna. So I think this score mark is just like the other one. I mean, it's black on black and you might see it, but really what you're looking for is an even border all the way around. So when you lay that thicker one on top, that's pretty much what it is. If the score marks are showing, I can't see them. It's just too dark of a color. So I'm gonna let this sit here and dry for just a few minutes, because when I want to do the hat and that stuff, I'm just gonna lay it on the table with this hanging over to do that. So I'm just gonna be back in just a second. See you soon. Okay, so mine is dry. Okay, so I'm just gonna lay it down with the base off the table because of the lip there. And I was going to grab my phone, hold on. Okay, had to grab my phone because I couldn't remember how I laid out my signs. So right now they're just sitting on here, kind of in a zigzag pattern, like a Z, yeah, Z, however you say it. So this needs to make sure that you're not too far down. Set my phone over off camera, there we go. So I'm gonna just slide these up just a little bit more, trying to keep them centered in their sign, but we also want to make sure the spider web is hitting both surfaces, because you want a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue there, so that would be fine there. So I'm just going to kind of glue this one and take this one off, and I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going to try and find my center of my sign. Now I'm using my clear glue, so if I mess up, it's only going to dry clear in the back, but as long as it grabs some of it, it should be fine. Okay, so I'm going to give it a press. Sure, that's kind of where it should be. Now my bats, well, this is still fresh. I'm not going to glue this one on yet. I'm just making sure I haven't not had enough. I'm going to maybe tilt it just a little bit. Okay, and then the bat will need to be fitting like somewhere in this direction. So, okay, so that spacing is fine. So you might just have to play with it till you find the, it's not that hard. It's, I mean, the bats and the spider web are pretty big, and you've got a bit of room to really play with it. So, okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking of. So, and then watch your spacing here. You want to try and keep your spacing distance the same. Okay, I'm going to put a little on here. So remember what my distance is, that I can kind of gauge it and know how much to angle. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one now too. Oops, wrong direction. Okay, so those can dry. Just gonna shift it up. It's still the same height here, but I'm also trying kind of pretty close to the same, but I'm trying to also kind of keep this spacing somewhat similar. So that one will be able to go in here. That one will fit in here. So for this one, make sure you grab the right one, right side. You can kind of see the back is, it's going to have those little burnt edges. So you're really just going to need a little bit of glue at the top here and a bit here. And then you can kind of just push that into place. Now mine is clear, and I can see it's pushing out here, but I'm just gonna leave it because it will dry just fine. So this one I'm just gonna do a little bit on the tips. I know it touches a little bit at the bottom. I can put like a dot, but same here. I'm just gonna put a little bit, mine doesn't sit right on the tip on this one, but now there is a front and a back, and I probably could have grabbed the wrong side, but just grab your best side. They're identical, whichever way you put them. Okay, your spider has a sticky, so it won't have a good two painted sides. So you can just kind of place him wherever you like. And now for the witch's hat. So for the witch, I kind of put one tip, sorry guys, one tip like here, and the other one will go on here. But because there's already a space difference with this board, that is why I have cut out this little circle. Oh my goodness, I have a little fly flying in my face. So I'm peeling this one off and doing the sticky as close as I can without it being seen at that tip of the hat. Now when we do this, then it will be the same height. However, when we're setting this in place, you might want to stick something underneath it, like a paint, well, that one's too high. Like, let's check this one. Maybe like one of your paint brushes. That one might be okay. Something. Hold on guys, I gotta pause this. He only comes out when the camera is on. Okay, so that way it can kind of rest up there, because you know, if it rests too much on the table, then these ends might lift. So just find a way you want to position your hat. And so I'm gonna put a little glue here. And I think I need more of mine down here. Okay. And then I'm just gonna set him, kind of want to give him a little bit of an angle. Just a little jolt there. Okay, so mine's just sitting there. Definitely push it to make sure it makes contact, and then put something underneath that. And then that's it. You guys should have a string. I forgot to bring a string, so you can just tie it through the little loop, and it can hang off the side there. Otherwise, this one is done. So yeah, I hope you liked it. It's something different for Halloween. I know Halloween is, some people either love it or some people hate it, but yeah, I thought it was a little bit different than what we've had in the past. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back for November's box a little bit. All right, thanks guys.